It only seems like yesterday that Australian Offshore Superboat Championship wrapped up 2015 on a high. In reality, it's been a long 8-month wait to kick off the 2016 season. And as they arrived into Bowen for round one, a number of established teams, plus a couple of new ones, are aiming to kick off their campaign in winning style.
We're going head-to-head with Pro Floors from New Zealand, so trying to, hold the Australian flag high against them. We've had a few mishaps in the championship and, sitting a little behind in the points, but, we're on our home turf now and hopefully we have some water that suits us. Put on a North Queensland winter's day for us. The weather's probably a little calmer than we'd like. We'd probably like something a bit more like last year, even though with what happened to us last year, but it's certainly going to suit the lighter 6-drive boats today.
We had 4 rounds back in NZ and we've done very well there, and now another 4 rounds here in Australia. Racing against Team 3 is really exciting racing. We're both as competitive as each other. Just comes down to reliability now. Both boats are roughly the same speed.
We went and gave New Zealand a go and had a wonderful time over there in their 4 rounds and enjoyed it immensely. So yeah, and we were lucky enough to get a couple of wins and be leading the championship there. I don't think you have wiped the smile off our faces yet. It's a great achievement for the team and it just goes to show consistency. You don't have to win every race, just gather those points and you can get there.
It's been awesome racing, it's been neck and neck. Jimmy and Foldsy, they've got 3 up on us. We only managed to win 1 over and back home, so a bit of ground to cover, but we'll beat them over here. This will be the 3rd season in this boat. We're still just fine-tuning it, getting it to where it should be, but we're slowly getting there.
Meanwhile, in the Supercat Extreme class, the Fryer Brothers team are hoping to avenge on their disappointing 2015 season. With the first up win in Bowen, despite a lack of pre-season testing.
We've been around off the boat for about 8 months, I think now, so yesterday was the first time back in it. We didn't have much time testing and that, so yeah, it's a bit different. It's like getting in a new car, I suppose. Time-wise and that, it's kind of been under the cloth most of the period, so this last couple of weeks and that is the only time it's really been out and really spent a fair bit of time and that on the actual engines and everything like that, but we haven't done much changes since last year, so it's going to be very hard. These guys are well prepared. They've been doing a lot of testing and stuff and they're all very good drivers and they've got very good boats, so it's going to be a test today, very much so.
One team that won't be making the start line are the father and daughter team of Con and Tay Solomidis. Their SUV Simrad boat encountered major dramas on Friday, putting them out for the weekend.
Went in for a test on Friday and just ended up kind of hitting the rocks a bit and tore off 2 skegs on the bottom of the gearboxes and bent 2 shafts, so we're not in. I went and got the skegs welded yesterday and just, it turned out, looked inside and the shafts are just bent as, so we just thought, no, not gonna risk it anymore, so yeah.
So, after 8 months of waiting, it's time to hit full throttle on the open waters of Bowen for round 1 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championship. Hi everybody, that is Bowen in the beautiful Whitsundays of Queensland. It's one of the most spectacular parts of Australia and it's the scene of the opening round of the 2016 Australian Offshore Superboat Championship. A man that knows more about these than most people have forgotten. Dave Bishop's alongside me. Bisho, welcome to you. This is a great way to kick off the championship.
What a fantastic spot, isn't it, Richard? Thank you so much for the intro there. And yeah, absolutely beautiful conditions today. And I tell you what, we've got some glass-like waters. It doesn't look like offshore conditions today.
It's going to be an exciting weekend. Qualifying was held on Saturday. The pole position shootout, as you can see, a great crowd got to the foreshore to watch all the action. And there was plenty of it. Armour and Crawley grabbed 3rd place in the Supercat outboard. Great speeds already, 137.6 k's an hour. Phantom grabbed 2nd, but the pole winners were a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely right. No, new boat on the scene there as well in the Armour and Crawley, but the winners, Gold Coast City Marina, which was the FL boys.
Being little, we favoured us a little bit yesterday. We got our power to weight ratio a bit better than the bigger boys, so we could get up there and give it a good nudge. It felt like a Formula 1 tunnel boat yesterday. The old man sent me into those corners pretty fast, but just hang on and turn left and we got round all right.
Great performance by Michael Ethel, but there was more excitement in qualifying, Bisho, as the day progressed.
Yeah, we went on in big speeds as well, 152.61 kilometre an hour. Lap average there, 2nd place was Team 3. The Pro Floors NZ1, the Kiwi boys, getting the job done by virtue of the fact that this particular boat here, the Maritimo Supercat 1000, was unfortunately excluded. The boat exited the water underweight.
Let's go down to the pits and find out what went on with Maritimo.
It went really well yesterday, made a good prop selection, and it was a bit of a shame in the end that we're a little bit underweight by about 40 kilos, but hey, you know, I've forgotten about that. We'll concentrate on today. It was a rocket ship, mate, and as I said, yeah, it's about, you know, that constant speed around the track, in and out of the corners, and you know, we've got nothing to prove today. We've got to, you know, but still we want to be competitive, and we're guys, you know, we've got testosterone, so I mean, we'll be gunning for that first corner.
And then the big bangers, Supercat Extreme on really flat water, yellow brick road with third, but the big bangers were yet to come, Bisho.
Yeah, the boys did a great job. The Fryer boys into third there, but the 222, great to see it back from New Zealand. They came into second at 157 km/h lap average, Richard.
But pole position all the way with an unbelievable 169 km/h average. Maritimo Australia, first place in qualifying here at Bowen.
Yeah, really good. Actually, I was surprised that we got pole by the amount we did, and quite a surprise to see that even though they got disqualified, but the other little boat, the other Maritimo boat, was up there as well. So obviously pole in Bowen's a good advantage because of the tight track. So yeah, glad to have that.
So exciting qualifying. A great crowd has turned out, as they always do here in Bowen. It's one of the most spectacular places in the world to watch this kind of racing, David Bishop, and couldn't think of a better place to kick off the championship as we get ready for the start, the first race of a brand new season.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it, Richard? We're all excited. We're up and about. We've got beautiful weather. It's a little bit smooth for the guys here today. Absolutely glass-like conditions, but the thing that we're going to see today, massive speeds. These guys, the throttle men, aren't going to be too busy at all. They're going to put oggy straps around these hand throttles in these boats, and I think they're just going to trim them up and absolutely go for it. So let's watch them into turn number one, Rich.
Away they go. Beautiful backdrop of far north Queensland in the background. Beautiful water in the foreground. And some of the fastest things on water you'll see racing towards the first corner. And great start for Maritimo.
Looks like Maritimo have got an absolute belter into turn number one. They're on pole one as they tip in very, very hard into that port turn. You've got the Fryer boys, Brendan and Chris, in the yellow brick road machine, just running around the outside of them. And then that little Maritimo 1000 boat. That's an old boat that's had a complete refurb, Richard, and the two Andrews, Andrew Willerton and Andrew Searle on board. And it's great to have Andrew Searle back and racing again, and also Andrew Willerton, who's into the big boat for the first time.
And we saw the technical dramas for them in qualifying. How do they bounce back in a race like this?
Look, it'll be a little bit tough for them, but look, running around the outside the way they did as we watch the 600 boats or the Supercat outboard boats go through, those guys will be super quick. It's a super fast little boat, that boat. I don't think it'll bother them too much being on the outside as the race wears on. So, but they're obviously going to be trying to get used to that boat. Gee, we see Team 3 just do the old double switch back there, go through the wash of a boat that I can't quite pick at the moment, and then 222 just diving down the outside of them with the boys on board there. So it is getting pretty willing in the corners at the moment.
We've got a problem. Turn, yep, top right corner, top left corner of your screen, boat coming to a halt on the inside. Is that one of the Maritimo machines?
It is. It looks like the Maritimo have come to a stop, and this is devastating news for Team Maritimo. Ross Welton, Travis Thompson, and both these guys absolutely as professional as you like. In fact, Ross Welton has just etched himself into history of being one of the biggest legends in offshore powerboat racing going around. And, well, they're not doing much at the moment, mate. They're sitting there wondering what's going on with that boat. You see him just playing with the throttles. Looks like it might be that starboard engine or the right-hand engine that they're mucking around with.
And separate throttle controls for both sides of the power plants?
Yeah, you can actually see him there just grabbing the right-hand throttle for the starboard engine there. So they're obviously trying to get it fired again. So a problem there for the Maritimo.
So dramas early as we go on board Pro Floors. Wayne Valder and Chris Handley underway.
This is a magnificent little, it's a skater cat built out of the US by Douglas Marine Corporation. These guys are from New Zealand, Wayne Valder and Chris Handley. We saw Chris Handley have that huge accident a couple of years ago in the global racing machine and, you know, ended up in hospital quite severely injured. So it's great to have him back in the boat. But these guys, they're flying the flag for New Zealand. They've got the NZ1 on the side of the boat, and you can see that that's the battle between them. The Maritimo boat just porpoising a little bit there. That's just a little bit of a trim issue there. See, they've got it settled down now. So the two Andrews, as I said, trying to come to terms with this boat. Now they've got it settled, but they're having a ding-dong battle there with the Pro Floors boat. Absolutely gunnel to gunnel, side by side, deck to deck, down the back chute here at Bowen.
And you can see how fast they're going. What sort of top speeds are you talking down the long back stretch?
These little boats will be right up into probably the 120 odd, 130 even mile an hour mark. They've got a pair of 525 horsepower Mercruiser racing engines on board, so over 1,000 horsepower in these boats. And have a look at the opposite lock there that Andrew Wilton just wrapping on to this Maritimo 1000 boat. As I said, it's not a new boat, it's an old boat, but it's had a massive refit by the Maritimo team, and if there's anybody who can refit a boat and get it on the money straight away, these are the guys.
I saw a photo posted on social media of the Maritimo HQ, I guess, their massive workshop they've got. It's quite remarkable. You're used to seeing a big warehouse with small race cars in it. When you've got two of those massive boats in it, they take up a bit more room.
Fill up the whole
Amazing
factory.
facility though. Incredible outfit.
Amazing stuff. We've got a good battle going on between the two little 25-foot shifty catamarans there in the Phantom, as we saw them go through, and Gold Coast City Marina on the inside. So Mick Walker there with his Phantom machine just doing a beautiful job, but Gold Coast City Marina with the father and son combination of Michael and Griff Ethel just doing a fantastic job on the inside, just holding them out at the minute, and a couple of newcomers as well. Let's just have a look though at this turn. We watch, and that is turn number 1, and that's actually the 222 boat having what we call a hook in powerboat racing. The inside sponson is grabbed, and Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath have had a wild ride there. They'll be off to the dry cleaners here in Bowen after that one.
So here's a look from onboard Maritimo Australia. Now let's just have a listen to this. This was part of their technical dramas we saw with Ross Willerton and Travis Thompson.
Yeah, you can see the boat just coming to a stop there, and you can see the couple of 1,000 horsepower boats just sneaking around behind them there. That's Maritimo 1000 just going past. So that's frustrating stuff when that happens, particularly when you've got the whole field behind you.
Yeah, and all they could do is sit there and watch everyone else power past. So, drama already in the opening race of the championship. Here's Yellow Brick Road. Great start for this combination.
Yeah, and they'll be very excited to see some clear water in front of them now with Maritimo pulling out. That's major competition for these guys. Effectively dropped out of this particular race. Brendan and Chris Fryer, two brothers, and they are from Mackay, so just up the road, and really enjoying the waters here at Bowen at the moment. This boat has been around a long, long time, but I'll tell you what, they've just been chipping away and chipping away. It does come out of the Maritimo stable, this particular boat as well, but these guys push really, really hard, and the boat going super quick. There's a great shot from above with those guys in front, and then Maritimo, and you've got the 222. Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath just sneaking up the inside in the Spider boat.
Yeah, so this is a really good battle. That's a cool livery too, by the way, on the Spider entry. Really like that. So this is a good fight for the lead. Competitive way to start the championship, isn't it? Everyone closely bunched. New season, gloves are off. Point scores up for grabs over the course of a multi-round championship that sort of works its way down the coast in Queensland, and plenty of great racing to come. Amazing championship. Quite late start to the year this year. I suppose you get perfect conditions this time of year in North Queensland on the seas.
Yeah, we do, Richard, and the reason for the late start, of course, is that we've had a few boats, including this particular boat over in New Zealand, contesting the Trans-Tasman Challenge, which has been going on. So 4 rounds have happened in New Zealand, and another 4 rounds here in Australia. So not only are we racing for the Australian Championship, but we've got these guys actually contesting the Trans-Tasman Championship, the 222 boat, the Team 3, and of course the Pro Floors boat. And we've got one of the 600 horsepower category boats, which unfortunately not running in this one, which is the barely legal machine out of New Zealand as well. So a race within a race as well.
There's nothing like racing the Kiwis, is there? Rugby, cricket, motor racing, boats. It's that same great rivalry, isn't it?
We love it. We can't bowl underarm when we're racing boats either, so it's all good.
There's probably not enough room in the cockpit to get an underarm bowl away, I reckon.
True story. Gold Coast City Marina, the FL boys coming through, Michael and Griff, and these conditions just suit this little boat. But they also suit the Phantom machine as it comes charging through. Mick Walker and Ian Harris, beautifully prepared 25-foot shifty catamaran. You can see a pair of brand new 3.2 litre Stroker Mercury 300 XSs on the transfer of that boat, and that's really livened that boat up, coming out of the 400 horsepower category last season. This is their first foray into the 600 horsepower or the Super Cat outboard category, and you can see the gap between the two boats. These two boats basically identical in hull design. You've got 2.5 litre Merc race engines on the FL boys, which is the boat that we're looking at now, and then the bigger 3.2 litre engines on the Phantom boat. So it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Let's talk about the FL boys. We saw Michael Ethel talk to after qualifying. Great performance from them to unload so early, and they've built a really good lead in the opening stages of this race.
Oh, mate, they woke up this morning rubbing their hands together. They really did. They saw this smooth water. Little boats with big engines love smooth water. They don't like the rough water particularly, so they're really excited about today. And they know that today's the day to make hay while the sun shines. They need to get out there. They need to win this race, because as the championship goes on, they're going to get rough days. The conditions aren't going to suit them. Today's their day to really turn it up and get points in the bag.
I suppose that's probably a good point you make, Bisho, because these are some of the smoothest conditions I've ever seen in offshore superboat racing. How do the teams adapt to these conditions when quite often they're used to bouncing the things off waves?
Absolutely. Well, you go big is the first thing you do. You go big in everything, big gearing, big propellers, big speeds, but you do have to be careful to get a balance. Look at this. This is a passing manoeuvre here from 222 on the Yellow Brick Road machine. Just sneak up the inside. And going on board now with Brendan and Chris Fry, so you can see Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath and the 222 on their port side and just slowly pulling on them. So that is the move for the lead there. But certainly, Richard, they go big in props and big in gearing because you want the big speeds. But the thing you've got to be careful of with these boats, you haven't got gearboxes in them like a car has. When you're accelerating out of corners, you don't want to be that big that you're slow to accelerate and then build up to your top speed. This is quite a tight course, so it's a real balancing act for these guys to try and get that gearing that gives them the good top speed in the smooth conditions, but they also don't want to be doughy out of the corners.
So there's that great technical balance as well as just the driver and the throttle man doing the business behind the wheel and in the cockpit. How cool is that? What a sight. And a beautiful day at Bowen. How well received is this event though? It's become a bit of an annual tradition for this region. They really kick off their year with a huge celebration. There's a massive street party in town on the Saturday night. I know the mayor's out here as well this weekend watching the action.
Oh, the town just gets behind it so well. It's amazing. We commentate here, and the crowd is massive as well, and they just absolutely love it. And why wouldn't you? I mean, you're in one of the best parts of the world, and you've got fast boats going around. I mean, seriously, if you're not having a good time, you better go and see your doctor because there's something wrong with you, I think.
Here's 222 Offshore. They've been involved in that battle with Yellow Brick Road most of the way through this race. We're going to jump away for a short break. Come back to the conclusion to race one. On the other side of this, it's the Offshore Superboats from Bowen in Queensland. With the second boat on the water this weekend for the team at Maritimo Australia, master boat builder and Maritimo boss Bill Barry Cotter has made a rare appearance, just to keep his eye over things. Or so he says.
It was a great little boat. I watched it in New Zealand in 2000, I think it was, with the Worlds there, against which is the Team 3 boat here. And, they won, and I thought it's the best boat there. And so it turned up in Australia a few years ago, and then it was lying around as a gate guardian, and nobody would buy it, do anything. And when this Kiwi series came up, I thought I'd buy it and bring it up to date. And that's exactly what we've done, but it runs incredibly well. I would have loved to have got back in the boat, but definitely Leslie won't let me. And she bought me a T-shirt once and it said "No fear," but sometimes she'll let me race. So.
Also making a long-awaited return to the sport is Andrew Searle, alongside Andrew Willerton in the brand new boat.
After about 5 years, it is really good to come back. As I said, it's something that when my late brother was around that we raced, and we were a bit of a force when we could be. And so now with that break off to come back from Maritimo, it's really good. I'm very lucky. Obviously, when we were all a lot younger, boat racing was always his passion. I couldn't see much sense in it. And then obviously, I was always into the cars. And then as we all grew a bit older and I started building some more engines, and I ended up working for him for the last 15 years and then got a bit of the passion for the boats, and two totally different types of racing.
One of the most professional operations you'll find in offshore superboat racing anywhere in the world, Maritimo. Great to see them with a huge presence in round one of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championship. Coming to you from quite beautiful Bowen. It's a lovely day for this and a fascinating race underway, David Bishop. 222 Offshore leading the way at the moment, but we saw dramas for them early in the race where they shortcut that buoy Is that something that will be penalised post-race?
I would suggest so, Richard. Yes, I would say that, you know, Triple Two, it looked as though they just did it all by themselves. It didn't look too crowded in that corner or anything untoward going on, so I'd say they probably just hooked the boat. We're going to have to wait on the judges' call on that one. At the moment, they're leading the race. They've just overhauled Brendan and Chris Fryer in the Yellow Brick Road. We can actually see the two Andrews, Willerton and Searle, and oh my goodness, just driving through the rooster tail there of the Fryer brothers. So they're getting a little bit wet on the inside of that cockpit now, and they are throwing everything at it. Look at this again. They'll have another go. Wow. So they are absolutely not worried. They are absolutely blind into the top turn, and oh, that's wild stuff.
Well, the question is, where did the water go, except for inside the boat? That was remarkable stuff. Caught up in the spray. Big moment through the turn. I suppose that's one of the perils when you're running so close with a rival boat like that, that you can get caught up in it. It's like being in the dirty air of a racing car. You get that understeer. That's very, very similar to what we saw there.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And in extreme circumstances, when you're doing big speeds, if you run into someone's rooster tail like that, the rooster tail actually has enough force and enough lift to actually blow the trailing boat over backwards. So they need to be really careful of that. Let's have another look here. We see Triple Two. This is the move that they made on Brendan and Chris Fryer. So this is Darren Nicholson, Peter McGrath, just through the dog leg out the back of the course there, running around the outside of Brendan and Chris Fryer, who were race leaders. That puts a Triple Two into the lead, but it is also with that question mark over him. Now we have a look at Brendan and Chris Fryer saying that corner's ours, and Andrew Willerton just bailing out a little bit there and just diving out to the outside of the course, not wanting to get too caught up in it. They were pretty lucky not to blow that over backwards. You've got a problem here by the looks of it, Richard.
Yeah, off to the inside of the course and out of harm's way. Does that look like our early class leader in Gold Coast City Marina?
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely devastating. Michael and Griff Ethel, and they were race leaders and pushing hard, and unfortunately for those guys, they've come to a stop. That is really bad for those guys, because as I mentioned before, they really need to make hay while the sun shines, and that's devastating for them. Steve Jellick, Tom Barry Cotter, Team 3, we're on board with those guys now. These guys are struggling a little bit in these smooth conditions. This boat is a magnificently prepared, beautifully balanced machine, but unfortunately the conditions just not coming to this boat today. They're just going to have to circulate around and get some points, I think.
So there's Triple Two offshore in with a shot at a really good result in this race, but there's some other great contenders. We should mention we've got the Australian #1 in this field as well, Bisho, and of course while there's all the classes throughout the Offshore Superboat Championship, at the end of it they're all ranked together and you get Australian #1 out of it, and the Hog's Breath combination were Australian #1 last year.
Yeah, Jimmy Harris and Paul Folds, and it's pretty rare for an outboard boat to win the outright crown for the season, so they are absolutely, we haven't been able to get the smiles off their faces since the end of last season and presentation dinner, and they're wearing that Oz 1 proudly on the Hog's Breath boat. They are in a similar problem at the moment as a Team 3 boat in that they're running a 32-foot boat, and smooth conditions, these little rocket ships like the Phantom and also like the Gold Coast City Marina have just got that big speed under them. So Jimmy and Paul, although they've got the Oz 1 on the side of the boat at the moment, battling a little bit today.
Maritimo running in formation. Ross Willerton and Travis Thompson in Maritimo Australia charging along nicely, and we saw dramas early on for a Maritimo boat. Looks like that's been rectified.
Now they're up and about again, so look, this could become interesting, couldn't it, Richard? Because we've got these guys up and going again. They're actually having a little bit of a sniff at Brendan and Chris Fryer, who I think might have a small issue going on in their boat. Triple Two got past them relatively easily, and these guys are coming at them. Triple Two's out in front, but we're not sure whether they're going to cop some form of penalty. I would assume they will for missing a turn buoy. So who knows what will happen at the end of this one. This is great to see this boat back up and about. They've had water pressure problems, but it's Johnny Hand and Mike Knight in the JRB barely legal machine. It's a Skater Cat out of New Zealand running a pair of 300 horsepower Mercury X race engines. They've had all sorts of drama with this boat since they've got it into the country. Fantastic to have it up and about. This boat's a little bit heavier. They'll be struggling in these smooth conditions as well. They'll lack a little bit of top end, but the good news is they're out there and they're collecting points towards the Trans-Tasman.
What I love about this form of racing is you're saying some of these boats will be better off if it's rougher.
Absolutely right.
That's
yeah,
great.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you've got boats out there that are built for rough water, and John Shan and Mike Knott, I know I spoke to them earlier in the pitch, and they were just walking around with their shoulders slumped, saying it's too damn smooth. You know, we want some big holes out there. We're racers. We want to go. We want to get bashed around, and they're mad like most Kiwis, of course. So that's what they want. But,
exactly right.
Not getting that today.
But I suppose for most motor racing fans, it's something different to get your head around, because normally racing car drivers complain and complain and complain when the racetrack's too bumpy. But we want more of it. Actually, we do love seeing these things launch off those waves. It's one of the more spectacular things you'll see. We're on the final lap here at Bowen in race 1 of a new championship, and here is 222 Offshore. They've got that penalty hanging over their shoulders, potentially, for shortcutting that buoy earlier on. But irrespective of that, this has been a really, really complete performance from this crew.
It certainly has. 222, and it looks as though that we have had word from the officials. A 3-minute penalty there for 222, unfortunately, Richard.
So that is going to cost them the win. In fact, it's going to drop them quite a long way down the order. Could drop them to the bottom end of the top 5. So they get the flag first, 222 Offshore, but it's going to cost them, and they will be penalised. Just hearing word through from the race direction. That will hand the victory to Maritimo Australia. What a performance from this boat, and they will get the win.
That's amazing, isn't it? And they've overhauled Brendan and Chris Fryer. So Ross Wilton and Travis Thompson, they'll think they've been beaten at the moment, because they won't know about any penalties as yet. And neither will Darren and Peter McGrath. So going to be interesting to see when they get back to the pitch. But they've got to focus and get out for race number 2.
Yeah, what it will do actually is give Maritimo a 1-2 in an outright sense with the way this plays out. Here's Yellow Brick Road. Good performance from these guys early on in this race. Just drifted a little bit towards the end, but still strong finishing position.
Yeah, not sure if there's an issue on board this boat, because they did start out really, really strong. You see the crowd on the jetty there, and the boys just giving a little bit of a wave there as well. There's a few backpackers on there, mate, that are getting a shower that they needed.
They'll be thoroughly enjoying it. Here are the results. Thanks to Light Jets Australia in Supercat Extreme. Maritimo Australia in front of Yellow Brick Road and 222 Offshore. Supercat 1000 has Maritimo in front of Pro Floors, and Team 3 ultimately went a lap down with their drummers in that race. And across to Supercat Outboard, Phantom in front of our Marine Crawley with Hog's Breath Offshore, the Australian champions. Number 4, let's hear from the winners.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a fuel pump switch off, so unfortunately we got about a third of the way around and she shut down on us. So hey, as simple as flicking the switch back on, getting it going and playing catch up, which was a bit of fun, to be honest.
Yeah, we got left behind in the start a little bit, so we had to hold onto the trigger a little bit late towards the end, and we took the gamble that it would go round, and it just went round a little bit further than we wanted to. That's all.
Well, mate, it was hard fought first couple of laps with the Friars, and yeah, once we got out in front of them, we were just sort of doing our thing and just trying to gel with each other. It's a new combination, so yeah, we had a good time and it's good to come out with that result.
We had a bit of a failure with the steering pump, which is all runs through the same system. So we believe that that's seized up on us. So we're trying everything in our power to get it fixed. We've got the lads onto it now, so let's just hopefully we can get it back out there and give these Kiwis a bit of a hurry up. They're getting it too easy.
Yeah, we did. It was a good raid. The first 2 or 3 laps we were going pretty heavy, and then Griff had something wrong with him. So, but anyway, the other blokes were trying to catch up, so we just had to keep going. And the boat went well, and we're organised. We'll go again.
Yeah, a lot going on out there. A lot harder than I thought. It was hot work. Luckily, it was calm, so we could get used to the boat a bit. And every lap, we seemed to sort of go better and better on the corners, and just working the boat out, mate. And yeah, really enjoyed it.
It was an interesting race, David Bishop. What a way to kick off the championship. Bit of controversy, some great close, hard racing, and amazing start.
Yeah, it was terrific, wasn't it? And it's great to see a few new faces around as well. Andy Smith and Glenn Campbell there in the Armourine Crawley boat was, they did well. First time out in the boat, so great effort for them. They're probably pretty happy with the smooth water as well. But the Kiwis out there too, it's all going on, and we're ready to go again. Power steering issues in Team 3. Yeah. I don't envy being Tom Barry Cotter on the wheel of that boat in this race.
Won't need to go to the gym on Monday. He will be very, very toned after this race. So away we go, race 2. The perfect flight conditions continue here at Bowen in far north Queensland. The field spreads out and gets underway.
Now, Richie, have a look at these boats. You can see them. They almost look like they're floating sideways. What happens with these catamarans is the tunnel is narrower at the back of the boat than it is at the front of the boat. The air travels down the tunnel, gets compressed, and the boat actually sits on a cushion of air, and that's where they get their speed. Less friction, more speed, and the boat's just crabbing sideways as they come down that first chute. Turn number 1.
It's a great start for Maritimo Australia. Had that victory in Supercat Extreme in race 1. Ross Wilson and Travis Thompson powering towards the front early on. In fact, with that penalty we saw for 222, it was class victories for both of the Maritimo boats, with Maritimo 1000 first in Supercat 1000. So a really good performance from them. You just get the little feeling though that there's a bunch of contenders trying to unseat them in this one.
Oh, the Kiwis won't be too happy. Wayne Velder and Chris Hanley in the pro floors. Those guys will be really keen to get up and going. Now, here's a guy that we're not envying at the moment. Tom Barry Cotter to the right of your screen. He has no power steering in this boat. That steering would be as heavy as all get out. It'd be worse than a HQ with no power steering on it, mate.
I've driven one of those. It's very, very heavy. Don't try parking at your local Woolies. Look at the effort required to turn the boat in.
Tough
Huge
gig.
effort, yeah.
Tough gig for him, but we've got a battle going on here. So Brendan and Chris Fryer there to the left of screen, and to the right of screen, Maritimo. Look at the acceleration. Now, we spoke about acceleration earlier on. Maritimo have just got their stuff together, haven't they? Gearing's right, props are right, throttles go down, and that boat just storms away. Oh, it's on here. Tell you what, getting very, very tight indeed. In fact, that's a Maritimo 1000 boat really pushing and leaning hard there on the boat on the inside, which I think is the pro floors.
Yeah, so this is the battle for Supercat 1000 that we've been looking forward to. Great scrap, and Pro Floors offering up a real challenge early in this second race.
Have a look at that camera in the middle of the dash as well, looking at the back of the boat.
That's very
well.
cool.
So that's so they can park it in shopping centres and whatnot.
It's like you see on your SUV when you go down to get the groceries.
True story.
And that's Pro Floors getting in front, so terrific battle. And here's Andrew Willerton and Andrew Searle working hard, just caught up in the wake of Pro Floors in front. So this is a terrific scrap.
Yeah, these guys pushing really hard. This boat is just beautiful. Look at the beautiful carbon fibre dash in this thing. It's had a brand new cockpit fitted by Team Maritimo. It's a beautiful looking machine, and they are working really hard. But you can see Wayne Velder and Chris Hanley there in the Pro Floors. They're in a little bit of dirty water there behind a couple of the bigger boats, and so too are these guys in the Maritimo 1000. You can see the boat. It really looks like it's sliding in the corners. In fact, the opposite lock getting wrapped on. That is amazing stuff.
Like a rally boat, bit of opposite lock coming out of the corner. It's tremendous. Great fun to watch. What a feisty start to this race.
I tell you what, they are really having a go in a boat that, you know, obviously hasn't come to them yet. They first time really, it's their first race weekend in that boat, so they're learning as they go. So to be pushing hard, especially with some seasoned campaigners like Hanley and Velder there in the Pro Floors, and staying with them, it's an incredible effort by the two Andrews.
We should mention, and I'm sure we'll see them soon, that Team 88, the Gold Coast City Marina team, actually lifted their boat out of the water between races. Gearbox issues for them in race 1. They're back in for this enormous effort. We'll be following their progress over the course of race 2 as this scrap continues.
Tell you what, it's going on. You've got to be really careful. The Maritimo the Maritimo 1000 boat on the inside there, you saw them rocking and rolling coming into that corner. That's when you'll do what 222 did in the first race and drop a sponson in, and the boat will pull itself around. So the boys getting very, very willing coming into that corner. You can see Pro Floors on the outside and the Maritimo 1000 not giving them an inch at all. Great racing.
Just caught on the very edge of their wake, and you mentioned that shortcut that really cost 222 in that first race. They dropped from 1st to 4th outright in the Oz 1 rankings, and really cost them a huge amount of time just for shortcutting that one pontoon when, as you said, they dropped that sponson in and it dragged the boat across. So you need to be really vigilant of that, and that's a job for both the driver and the throttle man to do as this amazing scrap continues. Pro Floors and Maritimo going at it.
Look at that. The Pro Floors really struggled to get the boat turned in there. The Maritimo turned in really hard and nice. But let's have a look at this now. You can actually see if you, watch the opposite lock get wrapped on here by Andrew Willerton. He is a busy, busy guy in the cockpit of this boat at the moment. And I tell you what, when you've got a bloke like Andrew Searle on the throttles, he's not going to lift out for too much.
Hold it flat. I've got to say, it's great to see the Kiwi presence, isn't it? As we have a look at Hog's Breath, a little bit further down the field. Great to see the commitment to come over and run in the Australian Championship and really taking it up to the best of the best in the Australian Superboat scene.
Absolutely right. Now, just keep an eye on this. This is an amazing battle. Phantom leading this category at the moment, as you'd expect. The little boat, big engines. Look at the spray coming off the backs of the cowls of that Phantom boat. They've been having issues with that boat, with salt getting inside those engines, and you can see graphically right there. But the real surprise to me is the Hog's Breath. Jimmy Harris and Paul Folds. That's a 32-foot boat chasing down a 25-foot boat in calm conditions. That's not meant to happen.
It's a fascinating fight too. Really a bit David versus Goliath there, given it's Oz 1 behind, applying the pressure.
True story, and that's an enthralling battle as we go back on board now with Ross Willerton and Travis Thompson, and these guys just consummate professionals. They'll be absolutely livid that they had that problem, not because they didn't win the race in the last one, because they actually ended up winning. They'll be livid because they know how good their preparation is. They pride themselves on excellence, and they won't have liked the boat stopping like that. It's not how they operate.
It's imperious to watch, isn't it, this thing out in front? It's an amazing boat and an amazing team, and they're doing the business in race 2 from Bowen in the Australian Offshore Superboats. We'll grab a break. Back with more right after this. After a modestly successful 2015 season, the Phantom team of Mick Walker and Ian Harris have taken their 2016 Supercat outboard campaign to a whole new level, and they're determined to make a bold showing at the opening round.
We've watched the New Zealand series over there, and finally it's our turn, so looking forward to this weekend. Mick Walker has upgraded the boat from 400 horsepower to 600 horsepower, so the 300 XS Optimax is on the boat, and looking for a really good run today. Yesterday was really my first run in the boat, so and the first time that I've ever steered a boat in a race. So normally been the throttleman in the boat, so it was a bit of a difference, but still fun. In the throttle, you watch the gauges and watch your trim and all that. Where steering is sort of just watching the buoy and trying not to let the boat hook, and obviously watching for the other boats. So.
Round 1 also introduces a couple of debutantes in Andy Smith and Glenn Campbell from R Marine Crawley. Having made their mark in water ski racing, the transition to offshore superboat racing is already proving to be an enjoyable challenge.
It's different, definitely a different change. The boat handle's completely different, especially being the Cat, something I've never ever driven before. To get just time to get used to that. It is, to be honest, it is good not having skiers to worry about and getting told how to drive your boat. A race number is in honour of a good mate of ours that passed away last year. And that was his nickname, 128. So it's all in honour of the numbers in honour of Jed. It's had a complete refit, a new cockpit put on it by Ian Harris and Paul Gibbs, and it was sent to Troy Wood, who's always been my mechanic from all my ski racing days. And Troy rewired it, new motors, set it all up, and we pretty much just got it back as you see it, and put the stickers on.
Back to Bowen, the Australian Offshore Superboat Championship. David Bishop alongside me, Richard Crowell, for the opening round of a brand new championship. It's been enthralling stuff so far. We've just heard from the R Marine Crawley team, Bishop, brand new team to the series, and they've got a bit of a background in water racing like this, similar style racing, I suppose.
They certainly have. They're actually a couple of buddies of mine from my water ski racing world, and Andy Smith, who has won the Southern 80 outright in his boat Wild Thing. And, of course, Glenn Campbell's a guy that I know really well because I've actually raced against him quite a bit in the Formula 2 category in water ski racing, and he's the current world Formula 2 champion. So, yeah, those guys know what they're about when it comes to water and boats. Don't worry about that.
Did you beat them?
No.
They've got some pedigree. It's great to have them in the championship. We saw a bit from Phantom there as well in that package, and they're powering along in this race too. So great to see plenty of contenders in this opening round of the championship. The fights continue. We're following very closely that Supercat 1000 battle as well, with Pro Floors against Maritimo. This, however, is 222 Offshore in that endless pursuit of Maritimo Australia that leads the way.
Yeah, well, they're playing catch-ups now, aren't they, after going to the back of the field in race number 1 because they had that little bit of a hook and a bit of a moment. I spoke to Darren about the boat in between races, and as he mentioned in the interview, the boat's just a little bit flighty, it's a little bit twitchy. They're not happy with how the boat's handling at the moment. They're working really hard to try and get it right. Look at the wide line they're running. Now, that's a graphic example of why they're worried about this boat. They haven't brought the boat in tight and turned it in hard. They've really rounded off that corner and kept the boat and kept the speed up, but tried not to turn it in too hard. They're a little bit worried about hooking that boat, I'd say, at the moment.
Which is what happened in race 1. So maybe just a little bit cautious. Here's Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, Yellow Brick Road with the yellow light on the dash and the guys talking to each other. There is an issue, and I'm going to say quite possibly on the port engine on this boat, because they are involved in deep discussion, Richard, and I don't think that boat is doing what it's meant to be doing. They look like they've turned the wick right down. They've got dramas.
For those of us not nautically inclined, port is left, starboard is right.
Sorry, mate.
So that's not ideal. Here's Phantom. We heard from them coming back from the break. Really well presented boat.
It's a beautiful bit of gear, and these guys push really, really hard. Ian Harris, of course, related to the famous Shark Cat family, and you know, he's got long pedigree in powerboats and powerboat racing. And yeah, look at that. You can see the Yellow Brick Road as the Armarine Crawley just sneaks up the inside. That beautiful Doug Wright catamaran. That's doing a great job with Andy Smith and Glenn Blooded Campbell there on board. But it's all about the Yellow Brick Road having those dramas, and they look like they're pulling to the outside. I'd be interested to see whether they get through and actually pull any points out of this one, Rich.
Well, it looks like their day may well be done pulling right out of this one. No, that's a massive shame. Timo Australia goes past.
These guys are just proving once again how professional they are, how hard they charge. Ross Wilton, Travis Thompson, a couple of the good guys of offshore powerboat racing too. You know, they're personable blokes, and they do a great job, and you can always get a good chat out of them. This is a good little battle going on. This shouldn't be happening, Richie. I don't know what's happening here. The big boat, the big Hog's Breath, the big Blade powerboat with Jimmy Harris and Paul Folds, the Oz 1, is in front of those two little rocket ships at the moment, Phantom and Gold Coast City Marina. But I tell you what, you can throw a blanket over them as they storm up into the top turn. This is an enthralling race in the Supercat 600, Supercat outboard category.
Yeah, tremendous stuff. And like we said earlier, what a great job by the Gold Coast City Marina boys to get that boat turned around and back into the water in time for this. So they craned it up out of the water, did the work, and then put it back in. Huge effort, and now they're fighting for the lead in Supercat outboard. Tremendous stuff. This is on board Pro Floors.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Griff Ethel, one of the most respected raceboat mechanics the country's produced. He's built lots and lots of boats over the years, so it's great to see him getting that boat back out there. It is beautifully prepared, and they'll be absolutely devastated they had that little problem. Pro Floors, what a beautiful boat. And Wayne Velder and Chris Hanley are just absolutely pushing. NZ1, stand up and cheer you Kiwis. This is a stern-driven boat. It's actually got the outdrives out the back on the transom of the boat, which is slightly different to some of the shaft-driven boats that are out there, like the Team 3 and the bigger boats, the 222 and the Maritimo. So slightly different. They will be loving these conditions because they can trim those outdrives out and get the boat sitting right up. Super quick little boat, and as we know, Kiwis are crazy, so they'll be pushing for everything.
Oh, completely, absolutely. But that's what we love about them, I think.
It is.
East Australia. An amazing fight at the start of the race with Maritimo 1000 as well. It was an epic battle. Speaking of NZ1, here's Oz 1, Hog's Breath.
Yeah, now this is incredible. This boat should not be out in front. It is going so hard. And Jimmy Harris and Paul Folds, they're like the wily old foxes, aren't they? They're just out there getting it done. And this boat is absolutely screaming. For a big boat, they should be hating these conditions. At the moment, they're loving them. Team 3 now, and we are on board as those boys keep battling on. Tom Barry Cotter, he looks like the Hulk in the cockpit of this boat now. His veins are sticking out of his neck. The arms are blistering. I tell you what, he'll have blisters on his hands as well. And this is an enormous effort from Tom Barry Cotter to be muscling this boat around with, of course, Stevie Jellick on the throttles, just keeping everything intact.
He's got the easy job. He might want to lean over and have a bit of a hand, perhaps, during the race. But get on the wheel a little bit.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Just help a mate out.
Correct. But this is a great fight.
It is a great little battle, and you can just see the 222, Darren Nicholson, Peter McGrath, just sneaking around the outside of those guys. Those guys have got their own little handling issues going on in this boat as well. I'm absolutely sure of that as they tip into that first corner, the port turn down to the bottom end of this beautiful Bowen end course. And, well, the Spider boat running very wide. In fact, you'll see how wide they come to our camera position, which is just off the end of the jetty. And the boys are just running that wide line, trying to maintain momentum, trying to maintain speed, and more importantly, trying not to hook the boat in and spin it out.
Now, this is a 10K course here at Bowen, and they're doing 10 laps, and race 1 lasted just over 30 minutes. My maths isn't brilliant, but that indicates to me these guys are going. They are quick.
Super quick. I mean, in these conditions, the big boats are capable of 130 to 140 miles per hour. You'll have to do the maths for me when it comes to kilometres an hour.
200 plus, yeah.
Super quick when you consider the boats are over 40 foot long. So it's just amazing stuff, isn't it?
Well, what a performance. Maritimo inherited an outright victory, I suppose, in race 1 with the dramas for 222 with their penalty for shortcutting that buoy. This has been a completely different story. They had those dramas early in that race, but this has been imperious, just powering along out in front.
Absolutely, and nice little right-hand dogleg in this course as well, Richie. You can see they just come through there, the right-hander. The boats are normally used to turning left, and they're set up to turn left as well, so sometimes the right-handers can catch these guys out, particularly with even things like propeller rotation and, the way the rudders are set up and even the balance in the boats. But, Willetton and Thompson, they are out in front. That's the spot they like to be. It's a spot they've been a lot, and they're doing it very, very nicely right now.
So, start the final lap. How important? I suppose it's like every motor racing style championship in the world. It's so important, isn't it, to launch your season strongly, come away from round 1 with a great points haul.
Yeah, well, Maritimo, they'll be going home with smiles on their faces. I think both their boats have performed absolutely brilliantly. And I tell you what, though, this last lap, this is a bit where you start to hear things. You look at the gauge. Did that gauge move? I don't know. Is that hot? I don't know. Can you hear that vibration? No, but this boat will just power on, I would say. 1 lap to go. This little 600 battle going on as well. Phantom there, Ian Harris and Mickey Walker there, just sneaking through. And you still see that spray. See how it's vaporising off the backs of those cows. As I said, they've been having trouble with their electrics. But here we go. Maritimo, checkered flag comes out, Rich.
Great result. Imperious performance by the top boat in the country at the moment. Huge result here in Bowen. And they'll sweep the opening round. Here's 222 Offshore. They're going to grab second in Supercat Extreme. So they challenged early. Good way to rebound after their dramas in race 1 earlier on today. Really impressive stuff.
Yeah, they'll be pretty happy, I think, with that, given that the boat's still not where they really want it to be at the moment. They unfortunately rolled the boat over when they were over in New Zealand on Lake Taupo, so they've had a rebuild to go through as well with that boat. Team 3, great effort here. Tom Barry-Cotter, he will be pretty excited to bring that boat home and get the job done. They're into 3rd spot in the Supercat 1000 category. That's good points for those guys. Hasn't really gone their way, both in terms of mechanically and also in terms of the conditions for their particular boat. You can see they're pretty happy with that.
And Tom, you can have the week off from the gym doing that with no power steering. Here's Pro Floors home in front of Maritimo 1000, and they'll win the Supercat 1000 class. Enormous performance by the Kiwis, coming all the way over here to North Queensland. They've probably never been this warm in their life. Amazing performance, and they get the class victory. And this, you'd say, could be the upset of the weekend. Hog's Breath home, tremendous performance in Supercat outboard, and given the conditions, that's a huge result. So, Light Jets Australia bring us the results pages. Maritimo Australia, 222 Offshore and Yellow Brick Road we saw with dramas in that pulling off mid-race. In Supercat 1000, Pro Floors with a huge victory over Maritimo, and Team 3 a lap behind. And rounding out the classes, thanks to Light Jets Australia and Supercat outboard, Hog's Breath defeat Team GCCM with Marine Crawley home in 3rd place. Great racing this weekend in Bowen.
We had a port engine not going too well, and trying to keep that on song and keep the boat trimmed right so that Travi had good lines for the corners was difficult. That's probably one of the hardest races I've done, just trying to keep a boat running hard. But, Travi did a great job.
This is probably our most successful weekend for a while. The boat was fine. It's still a bit of a handful to send around the track, but look, we got round, it was good.
Mate, the port engine after the first race, we took a lot of water in that engine bay, and we think it's obviously played up with something, and things were going really well for the first part, good start and everything, and then unfortunately, it's come back to bite us, and we've had a gremlin come out, and we've had to pull out of the race, unfortunately.
Yeah, we had a little bit more concentration in our second race than what we did in the first one. We lost our concentration a little bit in the first race, and it's quite amazing how far you drop back when you lose that concentration.
The Bowen people, it's just such a great race. As I said, I've never raced here before. The gods turned the weathers on, heaps of people on the jetty. I'm sure that, all the spectators got, their money's worth if they were supposed to pay, So you couldn't ask for a better weekend.
We definitely got through. It was a very hard second race, especially for Tom. We had no power steering whatsoever, so it was like trying to drive 10 HQs all in one hit. So it was a bit hard for him, but he done an awesome job.
Yeah, no, Jimmy steered the pants off the boat today, and we didn't get much more speed, but we were so surprised to get away with that, and it's such great racing. I think we've got great parity in the class now, and everybody's so close. Slightest mistake and you can get through on somebody.
Well, a terrific way to start the championship, and here are the points after the opening round. Maritimo Australia leads the way in Supercat Extreme thanks to Light Jets. Australia 222 Offshore second, Yellow Brick Road third. In Supercat 1000, Pro Floors have the lead over Team 3 and Maritimo. And these championship battles will evolve, of course, over the course of the season. David Bishop, Hog's Breath Offshore with an early lead in Supercat Outboard, with Marine Crawley, the brand new team, in second. And in the fight for Oz 1, things are looking pretty interesting as well.
The Light Jets Australia, absolutely. First, Maritimo Australia, that's where they'd like to be, back to second, Maritimo 1000. Then the Pro Floors rounding out through to 222 and Team 3. Well, Richard, it has been a fantastic weekend of racing.
Great way to start the season. Thanks for your work this weekend. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
There's David Bishop on behalf of our entire team. Thanks for watching. It's been a great start to the Offshore Superboat Championship. They race next in Mackay in North Queensland. You'll see all that action in the coming weeks. Thanks to the team. Bye for now.